We were in the studio last week and we came up with this new rule. At first was calling it the reverse packing party rule, because when Ryan did his packing party, which you saw in our last Netflix documentary, he boxed up all his things as if he were moving. He spent the next 21 days unpacking only the items he needed, right? So he's kind of hid all of his possessions. But sometimes that's what we do in our houses with our drawers and our cabinets and our credenzas and other spaces that hide our clutter, our closets, our attics, etc. And so I'm calling this the out in the open rule. And it's a reverse packing party for your stuff that is hidden. We came into the studio, Ryan was here, Professor Sean was here, Malabam was here, I was here. And what we did is we emptied out our little closet over here that keeps all of our equipment, our cables, our pens, our pencils, our paper, our envelopes, our tissues, anything that we use regularly or think we might use regularly, we keep it stored away in these drawers, right? And so if you'll see, when we put it all here on the floor, TK, and if you're watching the video version of this on the private podcast, you'll see it above my left shoulder here. We sent this photo to you last Friday as well.
Nice.
We got everything on the floor, everything out of the cabinets, literally everything, emptied them out completely. We got everything, what? Out in the open.
Yeah.
Hence the name for this is the out in the open rule. And as soon as we put everything out in the open, what did it do? It forced us to deal with everything, because we're going to either have to put it away. There are a few things we were able to sell. Most of the things we'll either donate, or a few things we're actually holding on to trash. Why? We're the minimalists. Why do we have all this stuff? So if you're looking at the photo here on the screen, or if you just listen to the audio version, I'll say a few things we have here. Like we had a few mic stands. Obviously, we use those regularly. We had some cleaning solution. We use that. And then there was a bunch of like extra cables, this pile of cables in the back. It's like, hey, we never use these cables. Here's another pile of things that we used to use, but we don't use them anymore. And so getting everything out in the open, I applied this to my home last week. And because I was talking to Ella about everything that she owns, and she's like, I just love stuff. and I'm like, do you use some of your stuff? I use all of it. I play with all of it. I'm like, really? And like we start getting some stuff out. And I'm like, when's the last time you played that? Oh, I don't play with that anymore. And as soon as she realized that, it took away the clinging. You get it out in the open and sunlight becomes the metaphorical disinfectant here. As soon as you see it, I don't need to hold on to this anymore. I can let it go. And it made putting the things back so much more manageable, didn't it, Mal?
Oh my gosh. Yes. It was very satisfying to be able to reorganize those cabinets, because there were so many things that were useful a year ago or, 6 months ago, but our needs change over time. The studio changed. All of our preferences kind of got tweaked a little bit. That was incredibly helpful for my OCD.
So I found that doing this at home, even with relatively organized closets or drawers or whatever, getting the thing out of its normal environment, out of your clothes closet, even though, yes, I wear those things sometimes, getting it out, putting it on the floor, getting that linen closet, everything out of it, just throwing it on the floor. Okay, what do I actually want? Now that it's out in the open, what do I want to put away? What do I want to hold on to? What am I going to get value from? And what do I need to get rid of right now? Because it is simply getting in the way of the things that add value.
That question stands.
Yeah. Because if it's not adding value to my life, it's clutter. And the thing that wasn't clutter a year ago might be clutter today. Clutter simply means that it's getting in the way. So one man's clutter is not clutter for the next man. One woman's clutter is not clutter for the next woman, right? And so by bringing it out in the open, I'm able to more easily let it go. Why? Because I can't just hide it. It's not out of sight, out of mind. It's in sight. It's in my mind right now. And it's creating the mental clutter until I get rid of it.
Like an unripened banana that becomes ripe and edible, and like a gallon of milk that becomes spoiled. Clutter can become valuable treasure. Valuable treasure can become clutter, because all things change with time.
You could do this with relationships. Get all your friends in a room.
Bet you're wondering why I gathered you all here today.
Oh, man. It's, it's interesting, though, because Obviously, that's a joke. You're not going to invite all your friends over so you could pick and choose who you want to hang out with. But there is some truth in doing that with relationships.
For me, it's the best new rule of decluttering that we've come up with since the 16 rules for living with less.
It's great.
Which you can download for free over at theminimalists.com. But we've introduced some new rules since then as well, like the didn't know rule, but that actually pairs well with this. So if you get everything out in the open, quite often it's like, I didn't know I own this. I didn't know I own this. But now that it's out in the open, and if you didn't know you owned it, that's another sign to go ahead and let it go. Because I didn't miss it before, I'm not going to miss it now. Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalist Private Podcast, available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.